narcissism forms in a holistic way. I think there may be some genetic components to it where some people are born with predisposition. There's some research studies that have shown that, if you have a narcissistic parent, and certainly if you have two narcissistic parents, there's a higher likelihood that you may have inherited some traits that could lend themselves or develop into narcissism. So that's one component. There's some emerging research on parenting styles, and how that shapes how a child sees themselves and therefore how they interact with the world around them. So that, some parents that are overly permissive and tell their children everything they do is great and everything is perfect and they can't ever make a mistake, that can, if you are predisposed to having some traits, that can help to flourish the narcissism in the person. And then there's also certain there are certain people that experience certain kinds of traumas or things like that that can sort of build a defense of narcissism around that trauma. So it's kind of like everything coming together. It's a perfect storm, if you will, that can create narcissism.
Yeah, it sounds good. How do you deal with narcissists? I mean, like whenever I see someone that's a narcissist, I'm like, just relax, buddy. you're taking yourself way too seriously right now. You're not that important. No one cares that much about you.
Right. Yes.
But I don't know if that makes them mad.
Yeah, generally that's going to make them mad. Good question. I think it depends on the narcissist and the person and who you are, and their relationship to you. So some narcissistic people, I talk about these different subvariants of narcissism. So there's like the benign or nice narcissist, right? And most people, that flies under the radar. And so you may not even know that person is narcissistic. They may be fun to be around. You can have a good time with them, but like they can't handle deep conversations. And if you have something going on, they certainly don't want to hear about that, right? They just want to keep it light and keep it moving. And they tend to back away from conflict. We've all kind of met that person, right? Where it's like, okay, they're okay to be around for a few hours and have fun with, but like there's not a lot of depth there and they're not interested in cultivating real relationships with people. So they're a little easier to deal with. Some of the other variants, like the grandiose narcissist, can be challenging, right? Because they think they're the best thing in the room everywhere they go, and they're the smartest person in the world, and they do take themselves really seriously. Of course, if you want to be cheeky and not take them seriously, then they're probably, you're going to be in an adversarial dynamic with them. So I wouldn't recommend that if that's your boss or something, because then you're going to be the target of their narcissistic rage, right? Because as soon as you don't mirror back to them that they're great, then they either don't want to have anything to do with you, which is ideal, right? If they're just like, I don't have anything to do with you, get out of my face, right? Because you don't see them as the greatest thing ever. Or if they are in your orbit, or you're in theirs, rather, is the way they would think about it, then you're going to become a target of their ire, right? Or they're going to make you see how great they are. So I always tell people to if you have a narcissist in your life, and some people have narcissistic people in their lives and they can't get away from them, right? It's a parent or a child, or a spouse that you're not ready to leave. Then the best thing to do is gray rocking is a term that some people may be familiar with, but it's where you don't really give them any content to feed on, right? Because narcissistic people kind of feed on other people's energy, right? Which is why you can feel drained when you're around them. And the way they do that is by pulling out your emotional content. You end up telling them things about yourself, or you're sharing things that are going on in your life and they're not really taking it in, but you feel drained. And so you just don't give them anything to go on, right? You just kind of, it can seem cold, right? It can seem like you're being a little robotic, but if you have a narcissist in your life, and you can't really get away with them, or when you are around them, you have to be around them, that's the best way to deal with it.